Excitement coursed through the collective heart of humanity as the world stood still, watching the impossible unfold. Extraterrestrial ships, sleek and brimming with unknown technologies, descended gently into Earth's atmosphere. The visitors, known as the Kellions, were unlike any figment of human imagination. Tall, with luminescent skin and eyes like swirling galaxies. Their arrival wasn't through radio waves or distant signals. It was personal, and Earth had become the stage for a cosmic introduction that promised a new epoch for humanity. Initial meetings were awash with fanfare and a sense of unity previously unknown to the fractured nations of Earth. The Kellions spoke of peace and a place within the Galactic Union, an alliance of intelligent species. The world leaders exchanged gifts and promises with the envoys. Human translators and Kellion linguists worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between languages as ancient as time and as young as mankind. However, beneath the veneer of cordial greetings, there was unease. Intelligence agencies and military advisors whispered concerns in shadowed rooms, while the public's excitement was tinged with an undercurrent of dread. For every human dreaming of the stars, another feared what lay within the vast and unexplored abyss. As the Kellions shared glimpses of their advanced culture and technologies, human ingenuity sparked, decoding, learning, and perhaps most human of all, questioning. The early days of this interstellar relationship saw a mingling of cultures and ideas, but the Kellions remained guarded about their technology, sharing knowledge with a careful, almost patronizing discretion. Human curiosity was met with evasive answers, and genuine attempts at understanding were lost in a maze of cultural nuances and cosmic secrecy. And so, the seed of discord was sown, not with malice, but with misunderstanding, a prelude to the tempest that was to come. The serene facade of the early days began to crack when a Kellion delegation visited a military base in the desolate reaches of the Nevada desert, a site chosen for its seclusion and the emblematic human innovation within. The purpose was to showcase Earth's readiness for partnership in peacekeeping across the stars. A routine demonstration of aerial acrobatics and tactical maneuvers by Earth's finest pilots was on display, a performance of precision and skill meant to impress and convey solidarity. But as the Earth's jets painted the sky with trails of smoke, punctuating the air with the roar of engines, something imperceptible shifted. The Kellions, their senses attuned to nuances beyond human perception, read the display as a covert display of dominance, a threatening posture in the language of interstellar diplomacy they were accustomed to. The misinterpretation was catastrophic. Within hours, a statement intended to forge alliance was mistranslated into a declaration of war. Kellion envoys departed Earth with a chilling swiftness, and the United Nations' attempts at clarification were lost in the void. The retribution was precise and unforgiving. Kellion ships, armed with technology that turned their peaceful appearance into a cruel irony, struck Earth's extraterrestrial outposts. Stations on the Moon, research facilities on Mars, and mining operations in the asteroid belt were reduced to cosmic debris. Casualties were instantaneous, and the message was clear. Humanity had been judged a threat, and the Kellions had acted accordingly. On Earth, the news of the attacks spread like wildfire, stirring the pot of global unrest. Protests erupted outside government buildings, demanding reparation and action. The world's military, often at odds with one another, found a common enemy in the stars. The strikes had not only decimated humanity's extraplanetary ambitions, but it also bruised a collective pride that spanned continents. As the dust settled on the shattered outposts, humanity's grief morphed into a burning resolve. From the ashes of despair rose the embers of defiance, igniting a united front that had not been seen in generations. The Kellions had provoked humans, and the Earth, for the first time in its storied history, stood not as a divided planet of countries, but as a singular entity, yearning not just for survival, but for vindication. The call for retaliation boomed across the globe. It was time for humanity to respond. The initial shock of the Kellion strikes gave way to a rapid, focused mobilization. It was a call to arms that resonated in every corner of the globe, an impulse that galvanized even the most pacifist nations into action. Humanity, often divided by borders and beliefs, was now united under the singular banner of survival and defiance. An emergency summit convened, pulling together the brilliant and the powerful to the same table. a council of Earth's best poised to orchestrate a symphony of retribution. The media, teeming with reports and speculations, broadcast an endless stream of imagery, docks and harbors bristling with activity, skies crisscrossed with aircraft, and the steady march of boots on the ground. The public, whose fear had been palpable, now clung to the burgeoning narrative of human resilience. Amidst the cacophony, a quiet pride began to swell within the collective human chest, a sense of purpose that had been dormant in the era of peace now awakened by the fires of aggression. Technology, the offspring of human intellect and the lifeblood of modern warfare, surged to the forefront of the effort. Cyber experts and engineers pulled all-nighters, bolstered by caffeine and the ticking clock, to enhance Earth's digital defenses and to sabotage the enemies. Propagandists and psychological operations specialists crafted campaigns to maintain morale at home and sow doubt among the stars. And then there was the flagship of Earth's retaliatory might, the Resolute. It was a vessel born of panic and baptized in a newfound hope, representing a technological leap spurred by necessity. The ship was a marvel, a bristling testament to what humanity could achieve when the existential threat of extinction loomed over. Commanded by the unyielding Admiral Ellis and crewed by the finest minds and bravest souls from every nation, the Resolute stood ready to lead the counterattack, a spearhead aimed at the heart of the enemy. Around the Resolute, a fleet of support ships and fighters gathered, forming a formidable armada. The fleets from different nations, with their distinct designs and capabilities, now flew the same flag. Drills and simulations ran around the clock, ensuring that language barriers and operational differences were smoothed over. Veterans stood shoulder to shoulder with green recruits, sharing wisdom that spanned decades of Earth's conflicts, all too aware that the battle ahead would be unlike any other. On the ground, training camps buzzed with the energy of soldiers and pilots preparing for the mission of their lifetimes. They were a mosaic of humanity, young and old, from sprawling metropolises to rural hinterlands, each bringing their unique strength to the collective might of Earth. The stories of these men and women would be told for generations to come, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. As the hour drew near, a palpable tension hung in the air. Families embraced their uniformed loved ones, knowing the peril they faced. Across the world, people looked skyward, where the Resolute and its flotilla stood as sentinels, ready to embark on a journey from which they might not return. The sun dipped below the horizon, night cloaking the earth, but the light of human determination shone brightly, unwavering in the face of the unknown. The countdown began, not with a booming voice over loudspeakers, but with silent nods and solemn faces. This was humanity's statement, a roar without sound, felt by every heart on the planet and heard across the void of space. It was time to answer the provocation with the full might of a species that had never known surrender. The engines of the Resolute ignited, heralding the beginning of humanity's greatest odyssey. In the dim blue light of the command center aboard the Resolute, Admiral Ellis stood stoic, her eyes tracking the swirling holograms of distant star systems and Kellion positions. The crew around her worked with a quiet intensity, each movement precise, the result of rigorous drills that had become muscle memory. The time for contemplation had passed. The moment of humanity's counterpunch had arrived. The Kellions, with their advanced ships that hovered ominously in the orbit of Earth's outposts, had not anticipated a swift response. They expected hesitation, confusion, and the bureaucratic inertia that often plagued Earth's many governments. Instead, they faced a united and vengeful force, spearheaded by the human instinct for innovation in the face of adversity. The Resolute, armed with an arsenal of stealth missiles and electromagnetic pulses, sat patiently in the shadow of the moon, shielded from prying sensors and eyes. The attack would be a gamble, a blend of guile and technology. The ships lay in wait, their hulls cold, their systems silent, as they prepared for a strike that would, in any other era, be deemed suicidal. In the silence of space, the order was given. A volley of missiles, each a masterpiece of human engineering, burst forth from the Resolute's bays. They slipped through the void undetected, their trajectories calculated with an exquisite precision that left no room for error. The Kellion orbital defenses, confident in their unchallenged supremacy, were unprepared for the phantom assault that approached. As the missiles closed in, The electromagnetic pulses discharged, and a symphony of chaos ensued. Kellion shields flickered and died as their systems short-circuited, and the once impervious armada was laid bare. The subsequent explosions were silent but brilliant, stars born of human defiance lighting up the dark canvas of the universe. Admiral Ellis watched as the enemy's defenses crumbled. There was no joy in her gaze, only the steely resolve of a commander who knew that the first blow, no matter how well struck, was but the beginning of the battle. The Kellions would recover, they would adapt, but they had been given a message written in the language of destruction, one they could not ignore. On Earth, the news of the successful strike spread like a prairie fire. Cheers erupted in control rooms and living rooms alike, a brief but fervent celebration that united the people of Earth. It was a moment of pride, a collective exhale of relief, but it was fleeting. The war was not won with a single strike, and everyone knew the Kellions would retaliate with a fury. But in that instant, humanity had shown its mettle. It had demonstrated that, while it may have been fledgling in the theater of galactic conflict, it was neither helpless nor lacking in cunning. The Earth's forces had proven that their spirit was not to be underestimated, and the Resolute had lived up to its name, embodying the unyielding nature of its inhabitants. The counterpunch was not merely an attack, it was a declaration that humanity would not go gently into the void. The aftermath of the Resolute's bold strike rippled through both human and Kellion ranks, with Earth's forces feeling a surge of momentum as reports of the crippled enemy defenses reached even the most remote outposts. Meanwhile, among the Kellions, the unanticipated ferocity and ingenuity of the human counteroffensive ignited a firestorm of confusion and fear. The once cocksure Kellion commanders, who had viewed the humans as mere upstarts, a young species barely worth the effort of subjugation, were now scrambling to reassess their adversary. Human captives, previously considered low risk, were now closely interrogated, the Kellions seeking any insight into the human spirit that they had so fatally underestimated. Back on Earth, strategic meetings were now ablaze with a fervent energy. The success of the stealth attack had given humanity a precious advantage, and there was no intention of squandering it. Now was the time to capitalize, to strike again before the Kellions could regroup. This window of opportunity was narrow, but within it lay the chance to shift the balance of the war permanently in humanity's favor. Admiral Ellis and her cohort of Allied commanders laid out the next phase, an ambitious series of coordinated strikes on Kellion supply lines and communication networks, aiming to sever the tendrils of the alien force and isolate their fleet from the Kellion homeworld. These actions, coupled with a relentless propaganda campaign, sought to demoralize the alien aggressors and sow seeds of doubt about their mission. On the front lines, the human soldiers were not mere pawns in the grand chess game of war, they were the lifeblood of Earth's defiance. Stories spread of their bravery, pilots who navigated the needle's eye of Kellion anti-aircraft fire, infantry units that held ground against insurmountable odds, and medics who braved the front lines to drag the wounded to safety. In the ensuing battles, the Kellions experienced the tenacity of human resistance. Guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run operations, and the stubborn refusal to yield even an inch of territory became the hallmark of Earth's defense. Each human soldier embodied the raw determination of their species, and with each skirmish, the Kellions' respect for their human adversaries grew. Space itself became a battleground of wits and wills. The Resolute and its fleet danced a deadly ballet among the stars, engaging in skirmishes that tested the mettle of its crew. Each confrontation was a testament to human adaptability, with tactical retreats and feigned surrenders that turned into traps, snaring Kellion vessels in a web of deception. The tide was indeed turning. With each passing day, humanity's relentless push eroded the Kellions' early gains. But with the knowledge that the enemy would soon adapt to their tactics, Earth's leaders knew that the ultimate confrontation was inevitable. It was a war of attrition they could not afford, and so they planned for a decisive endgame. The siege of Proxima Centauri loomed on the horizon, a battle that would either cement humanity's place among the stars or spell its doom. The siege of Proxima Centauri was set to be the turning point of the conflict, the moment when the relentless advance of human forces would be put to the ultimate test. The Kellion colony at Proxima Centauri was a fortress, a strategic stronghold brimming with the might of the alien armada. It was the key to their dominion over the region, and a gateway to Earth. If humanity could claim it, the balance of power would irrevocably shift. Admiral Ellis stood at the helm of the Resolute, which had become more than a ship. It was a symbol of Earth's defiance and capability. The upcoming battle required more than military prowess. It called for an orchestra of strategies harmonizing into one decisive blow. The human fleet, a patchwork of vessels from across nations, had been refitted, upgraded, and reborn through the fires of conflict. They were ready. As the fleet approached Proxima Centauri, a silent signal was given, and the first wave of the assault commenced. Stealth fighters, cloaked in the abyss of space, slipped past enemy lines, unleashing a barrage on the Kellion sensor arrays. Blinded, the colony's defenses were thrown into disarray, providing a window for the main fleet to engage. The space around the colony erupted into a maelstrom of laser fire and explosive ordnance. Human ships weaved through the storm, their formations tight and precise, exploiting every weakness in the Kellion's response with ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, special operative teams deployed on the colony's surface, their mission to sabotage key infrastructure and amplify the chaos. Inside the colony, the Kellion forces were jarred by the ferocity and scale of the onslaught. A ground battle ensued as human marines engaged in fierce combat with Kellion defenders, fighting in the shadow of towering alien architecture. The air was thick with the cacophony of war, shouts, the clatter of weaponry, and the resounding echoes of human determination. At the forefront of the ground forces was Captain Helena Mira, a figure who would become legendary for her bravery during the siege. She led her squad through the labyrinthine colony, targeting anti-air defenses and clearing a path for aerial support. Every corridor cleared, every foothold gained, was a testament to her leadership and the unyielding spirit of her team. In orbit, the Resolute faced the bulk of the Kellion fleet in a battle that seemed to defy reality. Ships danced and darted between volleys of energy fire, each pass a near brush with annihilation. The human crews pushed themselves to the brink, their vessels groaning under the strain of constant maneuver and combat. Back on Earth, the silence was deafening. Civilians and military personnel alike held their breath, their eyes locked on screens displaying live feeds from the front. The fate of humanity rested on the shoulders of those brave souls at Proxima Centauri, fighting not just for victory, but for the very survival of their species. The siege raged on, days blending into nights, with neither side yielding. But with each passing hour, the Kellion resolve waned, their overconfidence replaced by a creeping dread. They had awakened a sleeping giant, provoked a force unlike any they had encountered, a force fueled by a home worth fighting for, a blue marble in the vastness of space that now seemed within reach of being safeguarded. The siege of Proxima Centauri would be remembered not as the end, but as the dawn of humanity's ascendancy. The siege had dragged on, longer and bloodier than any commander on either side had anticipated. With each passing day, the human forces tightened their grip around Proxima Centauri. The initial surprise of their assault had evolved into a relentless grind, wearing down the once unassailable Kellion defenses. Admiral Ellis, her face a mask of focus and resolve, never wavered in her command. She knew that in war, the endgame was as crucial as the opening move. In the battle-worn command center, she watched as the human forces began the final phase of their strategy, a full-scale invasion of the Kellion homeworld. The skies above the Kellion planet, once serene and untouched, were now scarred by the trails of human dropships descending through the atmosphere. The invasion force was diverse, drawn from the best and bravest of Earth's international coalition. As they landed and dispersed, a network of battles erupted across the planet's surface, each engagement a pivotal stroke in the larger portrait of war. The Kellions, so long the aggressors, found themselves cast into an unfamiliar role, the defenders, fighting not for conquest but for survival. Their technology and might had seemed insurmountable, but the ingenuity and tenacity of human forces proved to be a match for even the most advanced of civilizations. On the front lines, the fighting was fierce. Urban centers became war zones, with human soldiers navigating the alien architecture, moving under cover of smoke and debris. Each squad, each platoon operated with a single purpose: to bring an end to the conflict, to ensure that the provocations against Earth would never be repeated. Captain Mira, her armor scorched and her unit diminished, led a critical charge against the central command hub of the Kellion defense. It was a mission many would have deemed suicidal, but the captain and her team pushed forward, driven by the memories of Earth's fallen outposts and the weight of those who had already given their lives. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Resolute engaged the last of the Kellion fleet. It was a clash of titans, a battle that would determine the fate of two species. The human ships, patched and repaired from countless engagements, faced their foes with a grim determination. Each salvo fired was a declaration, each maneuver a defiance of the Kellion's belief in their own superiority. The Kellion leaders, once so assured of their dominance, now faced the inconceivable: defeat at the hands of a species they had dismissed as inconsequential. They watched as their cities fell and their fleets burned, the realization dawning that their provocations had led to this moment of reckoning. The cost of their arrogance was etched into the smoldering ruins of their once great colony and the desperate battles raging on their homeworld. In the end, it was not merely the military might of humanity that precipitated the fall of the Kellions, but the indomitable human spirit, a force that once roused could overcome even the greatest of challenges. The Kellions, facing complete annihilation, had no choice but to capitulate, to call for the ceasefire they once thought unnecessary. The negotiations began, not from a position of mutual respect as once hoped, but with the Kellions humbled by the unyielding heart of a united humanity. The world had forever changed. The dust settled on the alien landscape, the air thick with the stench of spent plasma and charred metal. In the silence that followed the final tumultuous clash, the only sound was the labored breathing of soldiers, both human and Kellion, as they surveyed the cost of their conflict. The Kellion High Command, once the epitome of military prowess and command, now huddled in their bunker beneath the ruins of their capital. The brilliant lights and screens of their war room flickered with intermittent power, painting the faces of the alien commanders with an eerie glow. Defeat was a bitter tonic, and they drank it in heavy gulps, their eyes darting between one another in a mix of fear and disbelief. How had their advanced and noble civilization fallen to these humans? Across the negotiation table, Admiral Ellis represented humanity, her uniform a testament to the recent battles, adorned with both honors and stains of war. Her eyes held a steely calm, but there was no mistaking the undercurrent of righteous fury for the unprovoked devastation wrought upon human outposts. The Kellions offered terms, their voices a mix of defiance and defeat. They sought to retain some semblance of their former glory, to bargain with resources and territory. But the humans were not there to barter. They were there to ensure peace, a peace defined by the assurance that no such provocation would ever again bring harm to Earth or its children. The terms laid out by Admiral Ellis were not vengeful, but they were firm. Demilitarization of the Kellion forces, reparations for the destruction caused, and a new galactic position for Earth, a seat at the table of the Galactic Union, where humanity would have a voice, and the tragedies of this war would not be forgotten. For the Kellions, this moment was a crucible, a turning point in their long and storied history. They had set out to quickly and decisively subdue what they saw as a nascent threat. Instead, they found themselves reflecting on the folly of their actions, their hubris laid bare for the cosmos to see. They had provoked humans, and in their arrogance, they had failed to see the depth of resolve and ingenuity of their opponent. Regret is a powerful teacher, and for the Kellions, the lessons were etched deeply into their collective consciousness. They had underestimated humanity, mistaking kindness for weakness, diversity for division, and a penchant for peace as a lack of will to wage war. The Kellions accepted the terms, their signatures on the armistice documents marking the end of hostilities. The news of the accord rippled through space, reaching the ears of a battered but unbroken humanity. It was a time for reckoning, a time to mourn the dead, to heal the wounded, and to rebuild what had been lost. But it was also a time for cautious celebration, for in the fire of war, humanity had not only survived, it had emerged united, stronger, and with a newfound place among the stars. The conflict would be a scar upon the memory of both species, a stark reminder that in the vast expanse of the universe, understanding and respect were the cornerstones of true progress. As Admiral Ellis left the negotiation table, she allowed herself a moment to look upon the defeated Kellions. There was no joy in their downfall, no triumph in their regret. But there was hope. Hope that from the ashes of this calamity, a lasting peace could be forged. One built on the hard-learned lessons of war and the enduring promise of human determination. In the aftermath of the war, the galaxy stood at the cusp of a new era. The armistice between humanity and the Kellions had been hard-won, sealed not only with the signatures of diplomats, but with the sacrifices of countless souls who had dared to stand against the tide of invasion. Now, as the guns fell silent, the true work began, the work of healing and building a future that could hold the weight of the lessons learned. Admiral Ellis returned to Earth, not as a conqueror but as a harbinger of the hard-earned peace. The planet she came back to was not the same one she had left. Cities were being rebuilt, monuments erected to those who had fallen, and the skies buzzed not with warships, but with the ships of builders and healers. The world had unified like never before, the common threat of extinction having evaporated the barriers that once divided humanity. The reconstruction was not just physical. The war had ignited a crucible of change, melting away old prejudices and forging a new sense of global identity. From the ashes of the conflict, a new governing body emerged, one that represented all of humanity in its diversity and strength. The United Earth Coalition became the voice of a species ready to take its place among the stars, not as warriors but as peacemakers and explorers. The Kellions, too, were changing. The war had shattered their perceptions of themselves and their place in the galaxy. The arrogance that had led them to underestimate humanity had been replaced by a humility that opened the door to genuine diplomacy. Rebuilding their civilization under the terms of the armistice, they found themselves looking to the very species they had sought to subdue for guidance. Humanity extended the hand of friendship, sharing knowledge, technology, and most importantly, the ideals of peace and cooperation. Together, humans and Kellions worked to establish a new galactic union, one that was truly representative of the diverse life forms that inhabited the cosmos. The union was built on principles that transcended any one species: mutual respect, freedom, and the sanctity of life. Earth became a beacon of hope, a testament to what could be achieved when beings chose to look beyond their differences and work together for the common good. The scars of the war would not soon fade, nor would the memories of those who had given their lives for a cause greater than themselves. Memorials sprang up on both Earth and the Kellion homeworld, eternal flames that burned in silent tribute to the fallen. These sites became places of pilgrimage, where beings from across the galaxy came to pay their respects and to remind themselves of the cost of arrogance and the value of peace. Admiral Ellis, standing before one such memorial on a quiet afternoon, reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. The war had been a crucible, a dark passage that had tested the limits of human endurance and courage. But it had also been a catalyst, propelling humanity into a future where they were not just survivors, but shapers of their destiny. As she looked out over the city, its skyline a mix of the familiar and the alien, she saw a world reborn. Children played in the streets, their laughter a melody that drowned out the echoes of war. Above, the stars twinkled, not as distant points of light, but as destinations, as homes to friends not yet met, and stories not yet told. This was the new dawn, born from the darkest of nights. Humanity had not only endured, it had transcended, and as the sun set, painting the sky with hues of fire and gold, it was clear that the future was a canvas, vast and awaiting the brush of those brave enough to dream.